Hello YouTube, this is Dakota from Bowtied Media, and today we've got a brand new installment of This Week in EDM. We go over songs that came out this past week in EDM. We've got a full dapper week, which means we've got a ton of songs and some from all 5 categories. And also a reminder, there's a Spotify link down below of a playlist of all the songs for easy access if Spotify is the one that you use. So let's hop into it. Starting off in the trash category is Nicky, Romero, and David Guetta with Shout. Woohoo! Another David Guetta cover! Yes, this is just another completely unnecessary cover, and this one is of Tears for Fears song of the same name, Shout. I do actually get this cover though, as that lead vocal melody is so iconic, and dropping it into a DJ set would be a massive crowd pleaser, but in execution the song just fails so far and just falls so flat in both the hype of the drops and mix quality. Then in the bad category, we've got Flosstradamus and Lil Jon with I Don't Give a Fuck. And yeah, this is a fairly standard trap track with some of the lamest lyricism from Lil Jon. I get that his whole vibe is just kind of this crass hip-hop hype style, but man, it's just not enjoyable for me at all. Then we got Anyma, Argy, and Son of Sun with Voices in My Head. Anyma's first real kind of dud of the year, I would say. The vocal sample used is annoying and feels too slow for the BPM, and at 2 minutes and 26 seconds, it just provides so little to latch onto, particularly with a kind of techno derivative style melody. Then we're hopping into the meh category. We've got Rehab, Michael Patrick, Kelly, and Shaggy with Rebellion. A very safe, by-the-books festival progressive house track with lyrics that are easily the weakest length of this whole track. Then we've got Slippy and 7KY with Catch Your Eye. Still not feeling this new era of drum and bass from Slippy. I think he just keeps falling into standard drum and bass tropes and melodies without any real dynamicism. Something his more trap-leaning tracks were often known for, having really dense dynamicism. But yeah, not a bad track, just fairly generic by Slippy standards. Then we've got the Shingo Nakamura remix of Heaven Knows, originally by Kaskade and Punctual, featuring Poppy Baskcomb. Yes, this is from the Heaven Knows kind of remix package of 3 tracks, but this is another very chilled out, relaxing melodic house remix from Shingo Nakamura. I don't think it necessarily has all the spice from a typical Shingo track though, and feels a little bit more on the reserved side in terms of the norms for his sound design. And especially with all the vocals removed, it doesn't really have much spunk to it. Then we got Trivecta with From You to Me from the Find My Way Deluxe. I'm not really surprised that this song wasn't really getting a lot of attention compared to the remixes from this kind of deluxe package, as it felt more like a kind of cut track than a bonus one. But hey, it's not too bad. The first half was a little underwhelming, while the back end was fairly typical Trivecta. Then we've got GHENGAR with Help Me. I don't mind, for the most part, this track. If anything, it's just not one that's typically up my alley. I appreciate the digital production elements throughout, but had just wished that they had played a bigger role in the drop sections. Then we got STARSIGNS with In My Mind. Wow, I can't believe we are already doing a cover of In My Mind, originally by Dinoro. And yeah, but here we are with a big room house track that honestly has less energy than the original does. I don't think it's a bad track by any means, but I actually just very much prefer the original over this one. Then we got Steve Angello and Modern Tales with Darkness in Me. A minimalistic tech house track with a simple melody that echoes through the whole track in both the vocals and synths. I do sort of get what they were going for with this one, but I just can't shake the sort of empty feeling of this track, and not in an intentional way. Then we are hopping into the good category. We've got Grabbitz featuring Rezz with Love You Till I'm Dead. I'm actually surprised how tame Grabbitz kept this track, especially with a Rezz production feature on this one. It's a pretty generic Grabbitz track by 2025 standards, but that's not to say it's not good, just a touch underwhelming. Then we got Automhate with Machina, or Machina, I think, on this one. But yes, this is an intense rhythm track with an eerie backdrop and quite mechanized synth hits. This is one of those tracks that I can understand its quality and creativity within the rhythm space, but for someone like myself that doesn't really appreciate rhythm a whole ton, it wasn't really for me. Then we got the Barely Alive and YDG remix of Bad Boys, originally by Marshmello, TRICKSTAR, and Lil Jon. I don't mind the original, but my goodness, this was a major improvement. Yes, it's still very short, but at least this remix gives us something more than, well, nothing. I can kind of stand Lil Jon this time around just to kind of get to the meat of those dense dubstep drops, and I think Barely Alive and YDG crushed this remix. Then we got Chirabon with Euphoria, some fast-paced speed house that really gets you up and moving. The track doesn't do anything too crazy, but is just a solid, firm, high-velocity track with a commanding beat. Then we got Cloud Cage and Dorothea with Alive. The second single from his upcoming EP is another fantastic one from Cloud Cage that lives off the heels of a great vocal performance. This is another relaxing, chilled-out melodic house track. Then we got Milk with Wanna Do, a fun, more upbeat and energetic garage tune with some jazzy elements in a way that Milk really only does. Very much up Milk's alley, and I like the branch out into this new kind of style. Then we got the Tokyo Machine and Boom Kitty remix of Mortals, originally by Wario. A dubstep remix with crashing melodies and big movements. It's got a bit of a Halloween feel with the strings and minor chords, and ultimately is a solid remix. Then we got Tynan from the Beginning. Another short, almost gimmicky cut from Tynan, but this is a quite fun one, and it's quite creative, especially with the minimalistic, wonky, not quite micro drop kind of final movement that just sounds quite unique. Then we got Kirby with I'm Alive, a bouncy new house track from Kirby that very much aligns with his production style of the past, and I still think it's great. Then we got Armin van Buuren and Ben Hemsley featuring Lucy Poulin with Is It Beautiful. A State of Trance 2025 transformation anthem is definitely an anthemic trance track. It's uplifting, slightly nostalgic, and has a distinctly Eurotrance feel to it. Then we got Control Freak with Love Me, a pretty nasty dubstep track hybrid cut with a heavy distortion and intense sound design. I don't love the vocals though, and think the song would have been much better without them. Then we got Coven with Where My Heart Is, a fairly typical liquid drum and bass track from Coven, but one that is definitely not a bad thing for me. It's euphoric, it's smooth, Katie's vocals are clean as always, and they're just honing in their craft for this one, especially with an upcoming record on the horizon. And speaking of upcoming records, we've got Dr. P and Flux Pavilion with Fluffy Cowboy. The second single from their upcoming collab album is more of the same in a good way. I'm starting to get the feel for the holistic sound of this project, and I'm stoked to hear us get some more kind of classic dubstep with this. Then we got Dactyl with Don't Walk Away. A very Jamie XX inspired track, and I'm all here for it. It's part wonky, part natural, got a bit of future garage to it, got a bit of house to it. It's an odd track to really nail down stylistically, but I do think it all works oh so well. Then we got Ganja White Knight, LS Dream, and Prob Cause with Magic Frog. My favorite Ganja track maybe ever, and I think that's largely in part to the addition of, on the production feature here, of LS Dream and Prob Cause, because, man, it's a great balance of wonky, dense dubstep production, hip-hop lyricism, and not so serious tone that just works. Then, yeah, Yes, we've got Avicii featuring Sandro Cavazza with Forever Yours, the Tim's 2016 Ibiza version. I do like this version over the Kygo original, and this definitely made me miss Avicii's style for sure. Not sure though why we really are getting this released almost like 9 years after the fact, but I'm happy it's out, and I do love some more Avicii. Then we got One True God and Kaskade with Empty. Yeah, it's a shorter mid-tempo track, but man, I really enjoyed this one. I think Cassie's vocals are great, and I love the halftime final movement. Then we've got the Chime remix of We Rise, originally by Son Holo, from the new kind of We Rise full collection remix compilation. A quasi-micro drop on a 10-year-old track is both deeply nostalgic for me and absolutely wild at the same time. All that being said, I'm a fan of this Chime remix. One of my favorite remixes actually from the full package, and I think it's primarily due to it being fairly close to the original in terms of its genre and tone. Then we got Complexive with Memories, one of my current favorite emerging artists in the scene right now. Complexive reminds me a lot of Haywire, with funky production and lots of playful production elements that always keeps you guessing essentially on what's coming next. If you're a fan of mid-2010s feature bass, you will absolutely love this track. And man, that guitar solo outro was a great bookend of the whole thing. Then we got Bad Computer with Love Tonight, a Valentine's Day banger from Bad Computer that melds his classic electro and bass house styles with a more rave-centric tone and clean vocals. Bad Computer is off to a fantastic 2025 already, and I can't wait to see what he's going to do throughout the rest of the year. And finally, in the standout category, we've got Frankie Nuts and Axel Boy with Show Me. Now this is some top-tier Monster Cat dubstep. My goodness, these two go off with a flurry of creative melodies, catchy hooks, and fantastic mixing. We need some more collabs from these two. And that's been This Week in EDM. Let me know what you guys think of any and all songs in the comment section below. But other than that, I'm Dakota from Bowtied Media, and I will maybe see you guys in a while. I've got some videos coming out in the horizon, potentially to plan to be scheduled, but this might be the last This Week in EDM for a little bit because of a new baby arrival in my life. So that's very exciting, but we'll see. Depending on when she comes, it might be, you might get another one of This Week in EDM. You might not get This Week in EDM for another month, but we'll see. Other than that, I'll see you guys in another video.